So I'm going to introduce this young man. I'm going to read, he wouldn't tell me, but I'm going to read what I pulled up. Mr. Michael Liendo, right?
Yes, sir.
Liendo, yes. Last year, he toured with The Weeknd. He did background vocals for The Weeknd. And let's see what else we got here. Oh, okay. Oh, he found a new subatomic particle. All right, that was impressive, dude. You didn't win a prize for that?
I did do that.
You did, yeah. And also, he fixed all of music. Thank you. So I assume, yes, we're not going to hit no more from Drake. Thank God. Thank you.
We don't mumble.
Thank you. We're done with the mumbling. Everyone out there, oh no, somebody's like, what? Yes, he did. He did all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, please bang your hands together for Mr. Michael Liendo.
Oh man, how do I even introduce myself after that? It's good to be here. It really is. My name is Michael Liendo. I spoke at MagnoliaJS 2 years ago, and it was crazy. It was a live event. If we remember what that was like, I'm looking forward to next year, but we're here now, right? Let me go ahead and share my screen because I'm going to be speaking to you about AWS Amplify and specifically how that relates to AWS being a part of that front-end developer experience, because for the longest time, we thought it was just for back-end folks. And I'm here to say maybe it's about time we start spinning that on its head. So share screen, here we go. This desktop. See some great folks here. All right. So let me get like some thumbs up. We good on the screen sharing here? I say it like I can see the chat. I can't see the chat. I think we're good. I think we're good. Somebody else speak up if we're not. In any case. All right. Thank you all. So yeah, AWS for front-end developers. Let's talk about it. Now, as we get into this, I should probably maybe start by introducing myself. A little bit about me here. I've been a senior software engineer for going on 8 years now, and I've been working myself slowly but surely into this cloud space. I've also had the opportunity to be a front-end instructor, serverless consultant. My biggest job, and the one that I hold most dear to my heart, is father of 3. So I have my 3 knuckleheads actually upstairs right now. I've given them a bag full of gummy bears saying, hey, keep it down. Dad has an important conversation. But along those lines, you can also catch me on YouTube. I blog a little bit. I'm an AWS community builder. I've actually been a part of that program since the beginning. And it's really grown into around 1,500 members now, which is just astonishing to me to see all the success that it's been able to garner. You can also catch me playing around with my drone. I also like to play around in VR and just take to the roads on my bicycle when I get a chance. Let's talk about what we're going to do today. First and foremost, let's maybe just do a quick little context on like what the cloud space is for those of you that may not have an idea here. So we're going to talk about the cloud, little brief overview on AWS, talk about maybe some recommended services, account setup and demo. We won't get too deep into that because a lot of that is going to be automated for us. But then some final thoughts as we start to wrap things up. Now, I kind of want to paint this image for you. And I sort of spoke on it beforehand, where we were talking about what that front end space looks like when we start touching AWS stuff. And really, it's this guy right here. You get, smooth Kenneth over here in his chemistry lab, headphones on, not really paying attention to what's going on in the background. But you can bet he's going to go ahead and mix up some designs, make everything look pretty. And for the longest time, this is where we thought front end space just was. But the cloud came. Now we got to take a moment to maybe discuss that, because when we talk about the cloud, we all know that there's not some cumulonimbus out there serving up our websites. Really, if we're going to be talking about this is the cloud. A bunch of regions, availability zones. It's like, what the heck is going on here? Well, actually, it's really not all that complicated. They're just servers. And a lot of us have context on what a server is, but really it's a computer without a monitor in plain speak. And those regions are just scattered geographical locations throughout the globe. So a bunch of servers and specified areas are really what makes up the cloud when we start to connect all of them together. Now, there's a bunch of different cloud providers, and AWS is definitely not shy when it comes to creating new services inside of their own cloud ecosystem. In fact, looking at one of the latest screenshots I was able to grab, this is only half of them. All of these services right here, there's not one person that knows them all. And that's something you definitely want to keep in mind as you go along this journey, because you're going to want to dive into everything. But really, even myself, I consider myself really skilled in about 10 of them. And as of today, I believe there are 240 wave of hand. It'll change in the next hour. So let's talk about maybe the services you need to know. First and foremost, let's just note that it's in the beginning. So at first, you want to go ahead and dive into these. First and foremost is IAM. This stands for Identity and Access Management. And really, it's what defines the crux of AWS. Your permissions of who can do what, who can talk to what, and who can talk to whom are all going to be encompassed inside of IAM. Now, this is one of the founding principles of AWS. And it's this guiding fact of least privilege. And what that means is that by default, you can't really do anything until you tell me to do something, meaning I can't talk to Kenneth unless I explicitly have some kind of policy that says we are able to communicate between each other. That's pretty much how AWS permissions work. And IAM is the founding service there. Next up, we have S3, Simple Storage Service. And you can think of it like Dropbox's uncool dad. Like, it has all the money, it's super powerful, but it's not really hit. So S3 is great. I love it. You can store up to 5 terabytes of data inside of that. A lot of folks use it as like an iCloud backup or a Google Drive backup. But the nice thing about it is that you can also put in things like host your websites. So when I say you can put any kind of file in there, I'm talking about JSON, text, HTML, JavaScript, etc. And S3 just says, okay, I'm going to go ahead and store that for you. Next up is going to be the one that I'm sure we've all heard of, which are going to be Cloud Functions. And AWS has their own flavor, which is known as Lambda. Lambda's the big dog. It's the one where it sort of kicked off the serverless revolution, saying we don't need to manage servers anymore. By serverless, all we're saying is that that part is something we don't keep track of. Instead, we're going to let AWS manage those servers for us. We're definitely going to be looking at functions today. And we're also going to be taking a look at this next one, which is going to be DynamoDB, a NoSQL database. Again, not the best word here. We have serverless when there are servers. We have NoSQL. It's like we're really good about talking about what they aren't. But what it is really just a key value store on steroids. It does a whole bunch in terms of what you can do with your data, how you can model it, and so forth. I'll show some of those features off today as well. And then one of the newer ones is going to be the Amplify console. This is going to be in contrast to how folks used to host their services on AWS. It used to all be within S3. Now they have its own dedicated service known as the Amplify console. And I'll show you just how quick and easy it is to get something up and running with that. All right, and then the very last one is, of course, you want to go ahead and protect your services. We have authentication here. And Cognito is going to be your user directory. And this is probably one of the trickier ones when it comes to understanding AWS. And the reason being is because traditionally, we're used to storing usernames and passwords in a database. And you have to then encrypt them, salt them, hash them, and take care of all of that stuff yourself. AWS says, you don't got to do that. Go ahead and take them out of your database. We'll put them in their own dedicated, secure service that we manage for you. And then that way, if someone ever were to get access to your database, none of your users' passwords are going to be compromised because we store that in some completely separate area. Okay, so how does this relate with AWS and front-end development? Well, this used to be really hard to have to know the main services even. I mean, I just touched on 6. And if you're a front-end developer, that's a lot considering we still have to take into fact all the other stuff that we have to deal with on the front end. So AWS, Amazon, they went ahead and came up with Amplify. Amplify is going to be sort of this four-headed beast here, where it encompasses a command line interface. It also encompasses its own hosting solution, UI components, and then the newest kid on the block is going to be this admin UI. Now we're going to be working within the CLI today, and we're also going to be touching on number 2 and number 3, which are going to be those components, ready-made solutions that we can integrate in our application, and then the hosting solution, which is going to be sort of a GUI graphical user interface that we can go ahead and put our static assets in and host our websites. The admin UI, it's new, it's great, I love it. It's a low-code solution that pretty much abstracts away all of that other stuff. So it's definitely worthy of its own separate talk, which is why I'm going to leave it out today. Okay, so let's talk about what Amplify offers here. Authentication, API deployment. I already talked about S3 and DynamoDB, but it also has things incorporated like virtual reality and machine learning. You also get CI/CD pipelines and much, much more. The ones that we're going to be touching on today are going to be these: continuous integration, continuous deployment. We also have API development and authentication. So with that out of the way, I think we're in a pretty good spot to go ahead and demo out what we have here. So let me go ahead and kill the slides. And let's see what we have. Okay. So here's where I'm at, where I have our React application up. And let's take a look at what's happening here. So you can see on the right-hand side, I have my image picker. I can go ahead and change it. And then I have a button here to change the light. Now, this is actually running on localhost. I don't know if you can see that. I'm on localhost 3000, and this is just a Create React app. Well, let's look at the code and maybe see what's happening here. I'm in React land, so when I start changing colors, I want to go ahead and keep track of that. So I have state going on. That color picker, I didn't make it. It's a component that I downloaded from NPM. And then that light bulb is an SVG. Cool. Some super secret credentials that I'm definitely going to publish here in a second, but don't do that because you're better than me. But what about this app? Well, I'm saying anytime I click that button, really what's going to be happening here? Well, you can see I have this set bulb color. And you can imagine what that does, right? It's going to change the light bulb. However, I'm using Axios. And Axios is going to make an API request. And now at this point, things start getting interesting because when I start incorporating APIs and authorization tokens, it's like, what more can I do with this? So let's figure out what happens here. If I switch this to maybe this pink, and I'm going to be picky here, like let's try and get this shade. And I click on change light. Not only did it change the light on the bulb, but for those of you checking me out on screen, it also changed the light next to me. Now, let's go ahead and maybe do this one more time here. There we go. And let's go ahead and maybe say something like green. Green is like one of my least favorite colors, but it's all good. Okay, so we know it's working and it's live, right? This is cool, but honestly, you can tell from my gear, I play with lights all the time. I think it'd be really cool if I had you all change these lights for me. And to do that, I need to put this on the web. So let's see how we can do that. I'm going to head to the console, the AWS console. Awesome. Now I'm already logged in. So let's go ahead and take a look here. One of the services that we can have is going to be AWS Amplify. I'm going to go in and click on that. And I'll give myself some room here. Now, how this works is that Amplify is going to pull in from any Git repository that I've set up before. So if I can squeeze that, there we go. I'm going to say, let's go ahead and host a web app. Sounds pretty simple. And now I have GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, and then all that other stuff. I'm going to be on GitHub. So all I did was take my code, push it to GitHub, and then it's going to go ahead and pick that up. If this is going to be your first time, it'll ask you to authenticate with GitHub. A bunch of repositories are going to pop up, ordered from when you first and last interacted with them. I have Magnolia here, which is just what I named the repo, and click on next. It automatically detects that this is a React application and wants to go ahead and build it for me. Furthermore, it's going to detect that it's a create React application, so it knows all the necessary steps and what directories to look into. If by chance you're using something different, you can always edit this and tweak it to your liking. I'm going to go and click on next because this all works for me, and save and deploy. If you are familiar with Vercel or you're familiar with Netlify, this is pretty much AWS's take on that. And it just kind of blows my mind that we get this ease and functionality from something coming from AWS, because it's just known for being sort of tedious. Now I'm going to go in and let that do its thing, because I want to take this moment to flip over to another project. Before we do that, let's just sort of think about or take a peek at what's happening here. I have a branch called main. It's automatically picking up that branch name. And if I ever had a different branch, say it was staging or test, I can come over here and say, hey, I want to go ahead and connect a new branch, and it would pick that up. In addition, I can have all of my branches listed here in their various stages, all being built and deployed every time I push to GitHub, which is just super, super cool. Again, it's kind of expected nowadays, but to have that baked in with all the rest of your AWS services is just really great to have. Now, a couple other features that I can touch on as this is building out is that it doesn't have to be this main branch. I can come over here and say, yeah, this is sort of like the ugly branch that they give you, but I can add in a domain that I purchased from here as well. And here are the ones that I have within AWS. But if I had something from GoDaddy, I can go ahead and route those DNS records right on over here. In addition, let's say I maybe didn't want to have like a full-blown authentication service. Instead, I just wanted this publicly available, but maybe not to the full public. Like maybe I wanted to send this over to a client. We'll have access control. And I can say, hey, is this publicly viewable? Or do I want to add in a password, a username and a password that they use to log in? And this is great for your client applications. I'll go in and cancel from here. And let's check out our build and see where we're at. Well, I was going to go on to the next project, but it says that we provisioned, built, deployed, and it's all verified. And when I say verified, what I mean is if I refresh here, you notice that there's this screenshot here. And this isn't just any screenshot. This is hooked into a completely different AWS service known as Device Farm. And what that does is it runs your application on various devices at various screen resolutions, and it takes snapshots of your homepage automatically and then injects them back into here. So that way you can at least see, hey, did my homepage even run correctly? It's sort of a nice automated test that you get for free. Now here's our hosted link. I'm going to go ahead and give myself the honors of changing the first light. And let's go with something not green. Let's put it to like a blazing red. All right, works for me. And I think it's all your turn. So I'm going to go ahead and be over here. And I'm going to stick this in the chat. So I'm going to sort of be like hands off the computer. Now keep in mind, I have 120 requests per 5 minutes I think I can make before they throttle me. But I can see you're all changing the lights in my house, which is pretty crazy right now. And it's just super cool to see all the colors changing. Now, I love you all. I just don't trust any of you. So after this session, I'm going to be revoking that ticket or that token just so that you don't mess with my lights too much. But no, I think this is super fun. Okay, so while you're having fun with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next project here because there's so much more that you can do with Amplify. Now, speaking of fun, another project I have is, that's so cool, is the ability to play Connect 4. I thought it'd be really cool in this pandemic where I'm just super, super competitive if we could just play Connect 4 with one another. So over on my screen here, I have a site up, and I'll go ahead and share the link out in just a second. But actually, I should probably share it out now. I'm going to share this out. And if you want to, head to the lobby and sign up with an account. So there you go. And then while you're doing that, let's go ahead and talk about Connect 4. So from here, I can go ahead and play sort of by myself, right? I can have someone next to me, my kids, we can just head to this website and we can play side by side. It's great. We get a player. And then if I wanted to, I can say, great, you owe me 3 gummy worms. And then we can switch to the new game so I can beat them again. But with Amplify, I can challenge any of you all to 3 gummy worms. I can say, hey, I want to go ahead and add in an API. In fact, I want to go ahead and add in not just a REST API, but I want to use GraphQL. So to do that, Amplify gives you the ability to run a command, literally amplify add API. And through its prompts, you can select either REST or GraphQL, and it'll allow you to create a schema, assuming you chose the GraphQL route. For me, I went ahead and designed my schema with a couple Amplify specifics here. So if you're familiar with GraphQL, you won't feel too lost, but let's go ahead and talk about what's happening. We have a player. And then we also have a model here, and this is going to say, create a database for me. These keys allow me to model my database in such a way that I can look for my players by their username, as opposed to like an ID field that they have. Down below, I can set up authorization rules just by saying @auth. And this says, go ahead and make the game private so that only logged in players can look for each other. In addition, if you are the currently logged in player, then you can also update your fields, which makes sense because you might have a bio or profile picture that you want to update. But if you're a user, I don't want you deleting your players. So I'm going to create some sort of fictitious group that no one's ever going to really be a part of, but that group that is never going to exist is going to have the ability to delete. And that way all of my CRUD operations are covered. And I can also have field level authorizations here as well. Because even though I want logged in users to be able to update their bio and their profile picture, I don't want to give them the ability to update their username, because that's definitely going to jack up my game. So on a specific field, I could turn that off. Now, this is open source, and I'm not going to go through the entire schema, but I do want to go ahead and showcase just what it looks like to play an actual game. So I think I'm coming up on time here. And if anyone has successfully signed in through the lobby, go ahead and paste your username in the chat. And I think we're going to have some fun and play a game here. First one's first. Okay. Allison Starr. Playing lobby. I'm going to look for you. Oh, this is so cool. I've only used my fake users. Not an actual person. All right, so if you're in the lobby, you saw a pop-up just now, like this automatically got sent to you. I'm gonna go ahead and close this out, and I'm assuming you're up there. So I'm gonna click on connect. Now it's my game, so I go first. Okay, this is gonna be intense. Here we go. So this is live. I don't know you, but I'm probably gonna find you on Twitter after this. Okay, I see you going for that diagonal there. Yep, you're gonna hit right there. Okay. Can you see through my trap?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Here we go. Here we go. Okay, you saw that. You saw that. I just want to let you know, one of the things that Ken didn't mention was that I was runner up in the National Connect 4 Championship. So I'm just throwing that out there. I'm pretty good. Oh, and then I missed the Connect 4 right there on the diagonal. You beat me at my own game. You beat me at my own game. No, props to you. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I'll go ahead and share out the repo. All of you have the, was it a double win? Oh, it was a double win. Oh, you killed me on that.
Dang.
You got me. You got me. I got some work to do. Maybe I got to figure out my algorithm a little bit. But no, I thank you for all your time. I hope you enjoyed this. Links are coming out in the chat. And definitely stick around for the rest of the presentations. We have amazing folks coming. Thank you.